we're doing here today. You sent us the news release. You guys are doing some snorkeling, scooping of some mussels out here.
Yeah, we're moving some mussels in anticipation for a project next year that the Department of Transportation is undertaking. They are going to be replacing this bridge structure in downtown Clintonville. And during our analysis of the project, we discovered that there was a nice population of freshwater mussels underneath the bridge. Freshwater mussels show good health of the stream when you have a nice diverse population like this. So before the project gets underway, we want to move them out of the way so they don't get impacted by the project. It's a cooperation with the Department of Natural Resources and the Department of Transportation.
Let's talk about that. It's kind of nice that you guys can work together, state and state, instead of having to hire out. Is that another aspect of this story?
Yep. It saves money. The Department of Transportation would have to pay a pretty large sum to move the mussels by a private consultant. So here's a chance to save taxpayers some money and do the work state agency to state agency.
Let's talk about the bridge. Is this part of the procedure? I mean, for people who don't know, the clams aren't holding things up, they're just part of the process.
Correct. We have a process, a stepped process, where we review the plans and then give some initial feedback, and at that time was when we discovered the mussels, and we gave them enough lead time so that we could get in here and move them before next year's project.
How important is it that you guys have everything in a row before things get destroyed and it might be too late or whatever?
There have been some circumstances where we've had to come in at the last minute, but most of the time we're able to work it out and get involved. And there's a lot of communication between the agencies, so there's a lot of opportunities to get in and get the natural resources items sorted out before the project.
Have you worked with the, is this where you have DOT and DNR together like this, or is it always the private contractor that has to come in? Or, have you done the DOT, DNR cooperation before?
Yes, I would say probably 90% of the time the Department of Natural Resources, that's just an estimation on my end, probably about 90% of the time we're doing the mussel relocation for the Department of Transportation. There are situations where the water is so deep we would need a large dive team to do the work, and that's something that our agency just doesn't have the resources for. So in general, we're doing mussel relocations on what we call wadable streams. There's more shallow streams where we can either snorkel. We do have limited divers at the Department of Natural Resources that can help, but not a full team.
And again, how important is it that this gets done? Are we saving the clams and we're making sure that the construction goes on schedule? Big picture here.
The mussels are an important part of the ecosystem. They help filter the water, keep the water clean, and so we want to maintain those populations. We want to make sure that they're viable and that they stay there. So we're moving them out of harm's way so the contractors can get in and do what they need to do in an efficient manner, and it's all part of the process. We do other things besides mussel work. When we do a transportation review, we're looking for endangered resources, we're looking for fish reproduction and making sure the projects are timed according to that. So it's just another part of the review process, and the mussels just happen to be what we're discussing today.
What else is in here? I heard there's carp. I heard there's some big snapping turtles. What else is in this part of the Pigeon River?
The Pigeon River has a very nice reproduction of smallmouth bass. It's a nice warm water fishery, very diverse. Has a lot of panfish, other types of warm water species that you'd find. Our fisheries biologist knows all the details. I just know enough to help with the review of the project.
And then this is the one-time deal. You're not going to have to come back in again and say, okay, now we have to go after turtles or anything. This is kind of
no, there's certain things DOT will have to do for the environment as part of the project.
Okay.
Put in certain erosion control measures and make sure they don't add turbid water to the stream and things like that. We'll be involved in the process, but as far as anything the Department of Natural Resources has to do, this is the end.
And then so just be today, a one-day thing?
Yep.
How long is this one going to take? A few hours?
A few hours. Probably, I would say it takes about 3-4 hours. It depends on how many mussels we find. If we're finding a lot of them, we'll have to be in here a little bit longer.
Okay. All right.
How far do you have to actually move them?
We're going to move them to a site that's suitable, a suitable habitat. So we're going to have to figure out exactly where that is. There's no distance. Typically we move them upstream, but because of the dam, we may have to go downstream to find that suitable habitat. We try to put them in the same kind of habitat that we're taking them from. And we see Mitchell and our other expert Randy Pate will help us find those locations when we get in the water.
So you'll be holding them temporarily somewhere?
Yeah, what we do is we put them in a bag, a mesh bag, where the water can come in and out, and we just keep them at our side and we keep them wet. And then we'll take them and we'll sort them. We'll bring them out of the water for a short time, sort them and count them, and then we will tally that up, and then we'll put them in their suitable habitat.